I was born and raised in France. My dad migrated from Tunisia in Africa when he was 16 to find a job. My mom came to France when she was 18 from Martinique, a small island in the Caribbean. I have always thought of myself as a European citizen, a proud one. It really has never been in doubt. From a young age, I have always been able to travel freely all around Europe. When I was 17, I decided to move to England. I have been living here for the past 5 years. It is my adopted country. It used to feel like home. Following the Brexit vote on June 23rd, I feel very differently. It feels like I should go back to France. England is no longer my second home. I was blown away by the result of the referendum. Brexit was a wake-up call for me after what I believe was a truly misleading campaign. I was even more shocked about the small percentage of young people who voted. Some surveys stated that only 32% of the 18-24 years olds voted in the referendum. It made me question, was the debate even targeted at them? I want to know what the impact of Brexit is likely to be on young people and why it is so important for young people to be involved in politics. This documentary started out by interviewing officials because I thought their opinion was important. However, I soon concluded it is not as important as young people like me, the generation Brexit.
I think the potential impact if we do little could be serious because of the impact on collaborative funding, the impact on recruiting good staff, the impact on recruiting good students. So it could be serious. So the role that we have, along with our friends in the universities and organisations like Universities UK, is to work together to make sure that that impact is as small as possible, and that crucially for me, that the reputation of the UK as a higher education system and as universities that are welcoming and open, which of course is true, that reputation is strengthened and enhanced through how we behave. So we have to be authentic and we have to be active.
My investigation took me onto the streets of London. I went to the March Against Brexit. More than 100,000 people marched that day. It was historic. However, once again, I was quite concerned about the turnout of young people. They weren't as many as I expected. I met Vivian and Abigail. They were both 17 the day of the referendum and therefore couldn't vote. Here, they explained to me the reason why they went to the march.
We're here for the Brexit protest march because we have benefited a lot from the EU. We're languages students, we're really passionate about the EU and its benefits. It provides lots of opportunities for young people and the opportunity to travel is just priceless and experience other cultures. Yeah.
As a language student, I know how much I will benefit in the future from being in the EU, so I'm annoyed that as I'm under 18 I couldn't vote and I didn't get my voice heard in the referendum.
So what are you expecting from today?
Theresa May to stand up and listen to the 48% of people, also to actually think about what people voted for.
Yeah, also just since we weren't given the vote, we want to feel that at least our voices have been heard in some way through this process today.
On that day, I met quite a few people that were not old enough to vote when the referendum happened. But they still came to the march to make their voice heard. Gabriel and Effie traveled from Birmingham.
I think I really disagreed with the decision that was happening. It was particularly because when the vote happened, I was under 18, so I didn't get a chance to vote, and I just think that's really unfair because this is going to be my life now, a life not in the EU. I think the campaigns to be honest, on both sides are quite irrelevant to young people, I think, and maybe that's why they weren't, like in the younger age categories, like that's where the turnout was maybe so low, just because it was quite directed towards like maybe older people.
They were done quite sloppily, and they were sort of done maybe not with the amount of care that they should have been. I think it'll impact the younger generation more because we're going to be here for longer. It's the sort of stuff that's affecting us. I mean, a lot of the Brexit vote were older, and I feel like it won't really affect them as much, will it?
Yeah. I just really do think that the 16 and 17-year-olds should have had the vote because that would have made much of the impact.
I think it would have. Yeah. We would still be in the EU if we had the 16-17 vote.
Yeah.
After talking to young people, I was drawn to Maria by her sign, which read, "Fluent French speaker, parental leave, safer food, better job contracts." In her professional capacity as a lecturer, I asked her why she thought the turnout was so low and why young people appear to not have been that bothered to get involved.
And I'm very worried about the consequences of Brexit for our students in mother languages at the university. Because as a young person, I got a lot of benefit from being able to live and work in different parts of Europe. I lived in Germany, I lived in different parts of France, and I feel very sad that my students and my children won't be able to have the same advantages in the future. I think we failed. I probably failed. I didn't go out and campaign and try to convince people how important it was to go out and vote. We should probably have been doing this before the referendum, just to whip up enthusiasm. It's only when you're about to lose something, unfortunately, that you realise how dearly you need it and want it. So that's the sad thing. But you know, hopefully someday we'll get back into the EU, into maybe a different version of the EU. Hopefully we can start looking outwards again.
One of the successes of Europe is the creation of the Erasmus scheme. And this year marks its 30th anniversary. I flew to Venice, Italy to meet my Belgian friend Benedict. She studied in England for a year and went on Erasmus in Florence for another year. On that day, she was meeting her Dutch friend Tamira.
I used to meet my old-time friend Tamira, that I met during my gap year in England 4 years ago already, and we stayed really close friends through the years, so I'm really excited to see her again.
Seeing them reunited was quite emotional, because it's what Europe does. It brings people together from different backgrounds, different culture. That could change.
Well, I just think that nowadays politics is really trying to get away from each other. It's a politics of isolation.
It's a shame for the British people, because they are not really... We're not one community then anymore, like the European community. And I think, especially for the young generation, it really sucks, because we were still lucky to have the chance to go abroad.
Erasmus also had broader benefits from a professional point of view and from a human point of view. Dr. Pauline von Ellerman, an anthropology lecturer at Goldsmith University, who is also in charge of the Erasmus scheme, talks to me about it.
Very upsetting. We've only just set all these programs up. They're very successful, very popular, lots of students coming, lots of people going, and it's just been quite upsetting that all this is now not necessarily immediately, but definitely under threat and not secure for the future. We get all the funding from the EU. Goldsmith, our college, and I think most other British universities have pledged to definitely keep up to basically self-fund our side of the agreement until all the current agreements run out. But that's in, I think, 2021 or something, so quite soon the current round of Erasmus partnerships will come to an end. And then after that, we simply don't know whether there's going to be funding to keep them going. From a professional point of view, it's very good for students to be be exposed to different university systems and to learn. I mean, for example, Copenhagen and Amsterdam offer really interesting courses that we don't have at Goldsmith, so it's good for them to just have a wide variety of courses and how they're taught abroad.
To investigate further and look at the benefits of being in Europe, I went back home to France to catch up a friend I hadn't seen for a long time, as we were both really busy studying and traveling.
I work a lot with companies from Qatar and from Dubai, and it's very important to get the knowledge of how others function, how others think. I learned English, Spanish, and some notions in Japanese, and when I was living in Japan on my 4th year. And I must say, just to learn English and to be able to interact in English, it's the must know. Because it helped me to stand out of all the interviewees, because I had the chance to live in 4 different countries in my life and 2 through the Union European.
Seeing Enzo and how he had blossomed made me realize what I have as a European citizen is very precious. We are in a hugely important political climate, both here in Britain and across Europe. Britain goes to the poll in June, the rest of Europe is voting now and in the near future. All these votes will determine the future of the EU. Marian Ezcura told me about the importance of engaging young people and how to do it. She also talks about how the money of the EU is used for the benefits of young people.
Elle permet de financer les structures, puisqu'elle permet de financer les lycées, de circuler dans leurs études, donc d'avoir une mobilité étudiante réelle. Il y a aussi quelque chose qu'on sait que trop peu, dans le cadre de la recherche des emplois, d'un premier emploi, la garantie jeunesse qui est mise en place en France et fait partie d'un programme européen général, la garantie jeune, qui doit permettre d'accompagner les jeunes dans l'emploi et de leur permettre d'acquérir des formations qui leur permettent d'entrer dans le marché du travail.
All of the people I have interviewed agree that young people's engagement in politics is essential in moving forward. Despite the benefits brought by the EU, Brexit will happen. However, is it up to us, the younger generation, to get involved to make sure our voice is heard? Our voice matters. And we still have one more chance to show it, by voting at the general elections on June 8th.